Hey, I'm Jay Kumar, the BassBlaster, and this is your Seafoam and Kistler top 5 of the week in bass fishing, number 1. Alright, whether you're fishing a slow bite or in colder water or in a pressured situation in a tournament or for fun, this sneaky stuff might be all you need to be like, we're not gonna take it. Hello, we ain't gonna take it. We aren't gonna take no bites. Let's start off with finesse dragging, or basically a light or ultralight even Carolina rig. Now I get that Carolina rigs aren't for bass fishermen with too much
ADD.
But hey, think of it this way, at least with this deal you can move your bait a little bit. Now your basic finesse Carolina rig is called a mojo rig. It's just like a Carolina rig, but scaled way down weight-wise and possibly bait-wise, depending on what you like on your regular Carolina rig. Now, because it's a finesse deal, you throw it on spinning gear. Same for the ultra finesse version, the split shot rig. Just like it says, you use a split shot instead of a worm weight for the weight, and even lighter rod, reel, and line like 8 or maybe even 6 pound test main line.
Oh no, that's definitely too light.
Hey, I feel the same way, but if it gets bit, anyhow, you can fish both rigs with the drag and pause like a typical Carolina rig, but maybe the best way is just to slowly crawl, reel that thing back to you. Now, you also want that bait to be above the bottom all the time, which is not necessarily the case with a regular Carolina rig. So some of the floaty soft plastics like Z-Man's Elastec baits or Lunker Hunt's UDSP baits or similar baits that float a little bit or a lot might be the deal. Or put on some Berkley Max Scent bait because it leaves a big scent trail, and that can be the deal with a tougher bite. Now you might be wondering, hey, why not just use a drop shot then? Well, I'll let Dave Mercer answer that.
Well, a drop shot, that bait works a lot different because it's connected to the line. That bait will actually float and look a lot more natural in the water.
Yep, Dave knows what's up, man. Number 2. Now, if the bite's tough, what's better to maybe get the attention of a bass or a school of bashes? Now, if the bait's tough, what's better to get the attention of a bass than a school of baitfish? Maybe it's a school of baitfish dumb enough to swim through a bass's living room.
These guys are so dumb, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, Cartman would know. Anyhow, there's a ton of A-rigs, Alabama rigs, umbrella rigs, whatever you want to call them, but very few are finesse size. Now, one of the best, most affordable, and most castable of the smaller A-rigs is the Yumbrella Flash Mob Jr. Now that picture is the one with the willow leaf blades, and that's the one most people buy. But a sneaky little tip is that the finessiest one is this one. That's the Colorado blade version, and you can see it's a little more compact. Just take off the Colorado blades, put on some smaller willows, and then of course add your favorite jig heads and soft plastic minnows or even grubs. Now, because that version of the Flash Mob Jr. is a little more compact, you should be able to fish it shallower and slower. Now, just make sure if you get it snagged on something, you either have real tough line like braid or some kind of plug knocker to get it back.
Baby, come back. You can blame it all on me.
Man, I've been there. Come on back, A-rig. It's sad when you lose one, man. Number 3. Now, one of the sneakiest little rigs in bass fishing is called the Tiny Child rig. Now, that's about the weirdest name for a bass fishing rig I've ever heard, and that's saying something. Word is it was named either by or for, or both, I guess, the Minnesota Wire to Fish guys, which might explain it. Because when it gets too cold for too long, peeps can get crazy, man.
Here's Johnny.
Anyhow, I don't think Wired to Fish's Kyle Peterson is related to that guy, but either way, he's the one who outed this rig.
As you can see, I can Texas rig that like I would EWG, and I'm gonna target wood, rocks, weeds, all of that, but this thing slips straight in and I can slip it straight back out.
So you can see it's kind of a Texas rigged and Nico rigged Ned rig with that Z-Man Finesse TRD or another soft plastic of your choice. Now for his version of the rig, Kyle was using a 1/0 VMC Finesse Nico hook and an 1/8 ounce VMC Half Moon Nico weight. But just use whatever you have confidence in, man. Number 4. Do you think crankbaits are sexy? Oh yeah, man, they are pretty dang sexy. Especially when that amazing paint on there is calling out to you. Every bass fisherman I know has way too many baits, including more crankbaits than they'll ever throw, but hey, they're sure as heck not gonna get rid of any of them. I'm talking about myself here. Anyhow, one of the best finessier, cold water, gotta get a bite even when it's tough crankbaits that's out there is the Rapala Shad Rap. And by the way, all you guys who say Rapala, I get it, I used to say that too, but I asked them how to pronounce it a long time ago and they said Rapala. So there you go. Anyhow, the Rapala Shad Rap is not a secret by any means, but this sneaky little tip from Gerald the G-Man Swindle just might be.
So what happens when the water gets super cold everywhere? The bait fish get really white, the crawfish get really light, everything has a dull tint to it. So what I want to do is take it straight out of the box. This is a sanding block, and I'll simply go over the back of it like this. And what I'm trying to do is dull it down. All I want to do is dull this down to be very natural. Even down on the side, on the scales, get all the way down in there. You just want to make it as natural and as dull looking as you can. This will always get you more bites.
Great info, thank you, G. Now here's what that bait looked like new, and here's what it looked like when he got done with it. By the way, that's the number 7 size Rapala Shad Rap in the Crawdad color, which is a good one. Man, we hope the fish can't get enough and are still hungry, but no matter how much you fish, those days, as you know, are just few and far between in a lifetime. Well, sometimes when the fish were eating, but for whatever reason they just shut down, cold water, pressure, something else, whatever. At those times, a little sneaky tweak can sometimes make a big difference.
I am very, very sneaky, sir.
And I'm talking about tweaking the bait you were just catching them on. Now, Jacob Wheeler designed one of the best pinging minnow baits of all time so far, the Rapala Crush City Mooch Minnow. And even though it's Jacob Wheeler with that bait, sometimes he's got to tweak it to make them eat it, like such.
Taking the bottom tab of this bait and cutting that off, this is going to allow for less action of the bait and a little bit more rocking. So we're going to go ahead and it's very subtle when you do this.
Here's what that action looks like underwater. Now Jacob drops a lot of good detail on that bait and how he fishes it on his YouTube channel, Wheeler Fishing. So remember, sometimes you just need a sneaky little tweak to make the big ones bite, kind of like this. All right, that's all I got for you this week. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Seafoam and Kistler. See you next week. God bless you.